In a big blow to Ukraine's dream of joining the European Union, the 27-member bloc rejected Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's plea of an immediate membership for his country. Now, this came after Zelensky signed a membership application formally requesting that Ukraine join the bloc. Zelensky asked for a special procedure on Monday, saying that this will help Ukraine be together with other European nations and will also get Kiev a better footing while dealing with the ongoing Russian aggression. Now, a divide was also clearly visible between the existing bloc members regarding Ukraine's membership. While more than 6 countries, mainly the Baltic nations, supported Ukraine's membership, Germany and France said that it cannot be done immediately. European Union officials have cited long procedure as the reason for rejecting Ukraine's application. EU membership is a long, complicated process. Negotiations generally take several years before a country gets formal admission to the bloc. Now, the first step to the membership starts only after a country becomes an eligible candidate for this post. Then there are lengthy negotiations during which it has to prove that it meets European Union's democratic, economic and political standards. Bloc aspirants generally need to go through a lot of reforms and then re-reforms before they reach the EU standards. By rejecting Ukraine's immediate membership for the bloc, the European Union leaders have kept the doors of negotiations open with Russia. Immediate accession of Ukraine into EU would irk Moscow, shut all routes to negotiations. And now for more on this, we're being joined by Maximilian Hess, who is a fellow at the Foreign Policy Research Institute. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, the European Union has turned down President Zelensky's request of an immediate membership of the bloc, citing long procedure as the reason. What is your assessment of this decision?
Yes, I mean, the process of joining the European Union is a long, drawn-out one and one that is very difficult, even in the best of times. For a country to rapidly join during wartime is technically just too difficult. That being said, the EU has given far more support to Ukraine in the last week than anybody had expected and is trying to give more. We've really seen a move towards ever closer union over the last week as a result of Putin's invasion, and we're likely to see the European Union come even closer together. Now, whether Ukraine survives as a state depends on how Vladimir Putin's invasion plays out and whether his own people potentially move to stop him from killing more Ukrainians.
All right. Now, it is said that by doing so, the EU is leaving the doors of negotiation open. But do you think there is any hope for diplomacy or negotiations at this point?
Well, the Russians and Ukrainians nominally had some diplomatic talks yesterday, but the Russians sent a deputy minister who isn't known to be a particularly influential person. So I'm afraid they're not taking them seriously, especially when you consider the Russians bombing Kharkiv, Ukraine's second largest city today, and causing humanitarian disaster. We've now had confirmation from the Indian embassy in Ukraine that an Indian student studying in Kharkiv was among those kills there. So I think that shows how much Russia really isn't targeting just military infrastructure, but is seeking to terrorize Ukrainians and foreigners living in Ukraine into surrender.
Right. Also, the hope was that this would offer Kiev stronger footing in the ongoing Russian invasion of Ukraine. What options does this now leave Ukraine with? How long do you think Ukraine will be able to hold off Russian forces?
Well, the reality is that Putin was just is always looking for another excuse to be hostile to Ukraine. In 2004, when he first invaded the country, part of the reason was because Ukraine signed an association, or Ukrainians wanted to sign an association agreement with the EU. He's since hardly ever complained about that, although at the time he said it could wreck the Russian and Ukrainian economies, which it clearly did not. Now, the Ukrainians can't hold out militarily. You know, it's impressive that they've held out this long. There seems to have been a lot of poor tactical choices by the Russians, and their initial strategy seems to have been misguided. That being said, the Ukrainians are clearly very prepared for a resistance conflict, to engage in guerrilla war. There are people in Kharkiv building, Molotov cocktail factories now. The Russian forces will face something they have never faced before from people who are, in many cases, their actual relatives, if not their ethnic cousins.
Right. Now, the European Union has slapped sanctions on Russia. Now, do you think EU support for Ukraine will be limited to sanctions? We just heard President Zelensky's address to the European Parliament asking for more support from Europe.
No, European High Commissioner for Foreign Affairs, Josep Borrell, has been attempting to coordinate efforts to give Ukraine some old Soviet-era fighter jets that are still in the air forces of some Eastern European countries. This is where you get into the problem of EU policy coordination that has sort of stopped that from going ahead. The Bulgarians have said, while they support the Ukrainians, they're worried about the impact on their own air defense. Poland may do some more there. But I do think we'll see a lot more continued further direct military and financial aid for Ukraine, certainly than was ever expected just a week ago.
All right. Mr. Maximilian Hess, thank you so much for joining us with your assessment of this situation.
Thank you.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.